And so when I went through a traumatic situation, someone broke into my home to murder me and another person there, and we were both shot and left for dead. And the other person was in fact dead, and I wasn't. I recovered. And the police arrived and they said, "You should be dead." I'm going, "Well, I'm not," you know. But who I was inside had died. Who I was inside was gone. And I was a body with very little mind and very little emotion and very little ability to function in any way. So I remembered that my dad had showed me what could happen and what my life would be like if I didn't find another way through. And I kind of sat there and I went, do I want to end up crazy, sitting and rocking in a corner somewhere, locked in a house for the rest of my life, or am I going to walk through this? And I said, I'll walk through it. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to walk through it. And that was my motivation. It was totally self-centered. It was totally self-focused. It was merely for my own sense of having a life. And so it took me a long time. It took me several years to walk through it. I couldn't work. I couldn't go teach school anymore. And it was terrifying, many times terrifying to go through it. But what I learned along the way was how to quiet the mind, how to find guidance, how to begin to trust guidance, and how to have the courage to die right now if that's what it's required to live. And there were many, many times when I would come back to the house and I said, I'm going to live in this house until I'm no longer afraid that I'm going to be killed. I'm going to stay here. And it was scary. I'd barricade myself in a closet sometimes just to make it through the night. It was scary. I'd go out for the day to do something. I'd come back to the house and I'd stand at the door of the house. And I knew if I opened the door, there could be someone standing inside with a gun. And I would put my hand on the doorknob. I'd say, I'm willing to die right now. And I'd throw the door open and walk in. And that got me through, that willingness to go through whatever it took to move to a place where I could once again have a life. And here I stand. Here I stand right now in groups, doing things, telling the story, still visible, still here, still taking on life so that I can help you through your life. That's my goal now. It wasn't then. It wasn't my goal then. What began to happen was people started to say, you know, when you hang out around Joe, funny things start to happen. You might want to go hang out around Joe. I didn't know that, but they were starting to whisper, and people would drop by to visit, and how you doing? Pretty much I was isolated and secluded, pretty much, in my home. But people would drop by, and one day a friend dropped by, and I just gave her a hug. And as I gave her that hug, I heard this loud ripping noise, like if you had a long strip of Velcro and you pulled it apart, that ripping noise. And we both kind of jumped back, and I thought, you know, something had torn or something. And I said, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm fine. But the pain in my side just went away. And I said, well, what pain? And she said, well, I had my appendix out a few years ago, and I have severe adhesions, and I've been in constant pain. Well, what we heard were all the little cells popping apart. That's what we heard. And I began to realize that what I was doing in terms of quieting the mind and staying present and being willing to die in order to be alive, and all of those things was allowing a huge flow of energy to come through me. A huge flow of energy. Now, when I was alone, I couldn't notice it. It didn't seem any different to me. But as I began to be around people and touched them, things would happen, or looked at them, or they would ask for something, then it would happen, and it would change for them. And so the energy was building inside of me. And sometimes there was so much energy coming through, if I put my hand on some skin, it would burn a handprint that would stay there for a month, burn a brilliant red handprint. It didn't hurt. It would be like a sunburn, and then it would turn tan, and then it would gradually fade away. And another time someone had a back that was injured in a auto accident, and it was out of place, and I didn't know that. She just said, my back hurts, can you help me? And I said, I don't know anything about helping people, I'm sorry. And she said, well, I understand sometimes funny things happen around you, just help me. And I was so confused with it, I kind of went soft vision, you know how your eyes kind of cross and you look out there, and I was just kind of staring at her, and then I realized I was seeing inside her body. And I could look inside and see exactly what was going on. I said, oh, well, I see one of your vertebrae is moved out of place. You've got a little bone chip down here, and this rib down here looks a little bit misaligned. And she said, that's my x-ray, exactly. And I was pretty excited. And her comment was, well, what are you going to do about it? So I didn't have any idea. So I said, well, we'll try something. And we were sitting from here to there apart in my home. And I said, okay, let's try something. I just imagined with my fingers that I was touching each one of those little places and moving it back into alignment. The pain went away, and it stayed away. So I don't have an x-ray, but I imagined that all those pieces went back into place. So I began to realize that what I was doing inside just to save myself was actually creating some kind of a link with what I knew to call God. That was my word, but I now call Source. And it was creating some kind of a link that could be of assistance to others. But it was maybe 7 or 8 years before I was willing to do anything with it, do anything about it. And a friend came to visit, and we were all sitting around the dining room table. Maybe there were 4 or 5 of us, and I got up to get something from the kitchen and came back and put it on the table, and they were all sitting there, and I just happened to put my hands on this visitor's shoulder while I was saying, well, you know, what would you like for dessert or something like that. And she didn't really answer, so I went to the next person. And a few minutes later, she said, Joe, when you put your hands on my shoulders, I left. And I was in an ecstatic place somewhere else with some wonderful beings. You must begin to share this with people. And I said, I don't want anything to do with that. I've been through an event that was aimed at someone who was a public speaker. And I don't want to be in public. I don't want to be a target. I'll have nothing to do with it. And she kept after me all weekend saying, you've got to do this. You've got to do this. You have this for a reason. You must do it. I said, okay, I'll do one group. One. That's it. And I went down to the local church a couple blocks down the street from me, and I said, hi, my name's Joe Dunning. This is what I went through, and I'd like to just do one small group, just once, just talk to people about it. And the minister there said, you're Joe Dunning? I said, yeah. You're the one that went through that? I said, yeah. She said, I know all about it. I was a part of that whole area at the time. You can do anything you want to here. And all I did was one group that week. And the first time I did the group, one person came. One person. I thought, this is really cool. That's fine. Good with me. It was a woman that had a large sore on her leg, and she had some scars on her arm, and I put my hand on the sore, and she said, I can feel that. I can feel it tingling. I can feel it starting to get hot. And I saw the marks on her arms, and I said, this broke your heart. Let's see what we can do about that. I had no idea what it was, and she explained what had happened to her. And so that was my first group, and I never saw her again. I think I scared her to death. I never saw her again. But I did agree to come back the next time, because I figured one person at a time, what's the big deal? Well, that next time there were 3 or 4 people there. And I thought, well, I can handle 3 or 4 people. That's not bad. And the next time there were 6 or 8. And then there were 15 or 20. And then there were 50 or 60. Well, by then I was doing groups. And that is how it all started many, many, many years ago, and has led step by step through lots and lots of changes and lots of internal questioning and searching to this time now, when it is possible to be here, to share what I know. I don't know everything. I don't know, it's a tiny piece of it even, but I can share what I know, and perhaps it will help some of you. And because, for some reason, I seem to have an ability to do something with energy that I don't fully understand, how that all came to be. And at the same time, if something can happen with energy, it can help you. It doesn't help me, but it can help you. And that's become my passion. It's become my passion. How can something be presented and offered that will change your life, that will assist you on your journey, that will help you become more of who you are, to support you in the things you believe and you want and you'd like to have? My desire is to support you in your life, whatever your life may be, whatever you choose to live, that's fine. My desire is to make it easier for you, because I'm really aware that life does have many challenges, and that there are easy ways to go through them and to come out with something magnificent at the end of the journey and be so much more spectacular. So, that's what we're here to do. Let's do it, shall we? Okay.